Do you ever wish you were more fruitful? I've been spending some time in reflection. You know, COVID-19's got us spending more time at home, alone, quietly. I've just had a birthday, got a year older. I've had a couple of days off this past week, and I find myself going back over my life. And as I do, this one question goes through my mind. How fruitful have I really been? Ever been there? Ever asked that question? And as I reflect back over my life, I realise that so often the things I've put energy into have produced such trivial results. And so often my efforts amount to so little. And so this week I found myself praying, Lord, show me what it means. Show me what it looks like to be more fruitful. And as I found myself reflecting, especially as we follow this Easter theme together, I found myself reflecting on John chapter 12 from verse 12 through 26. Just encourage you to read it. Maybe go get a pen and pause and write this down. John 12, chapter verses 12 through 26. Spend some time over the next week, just read it several times, reflect on it, allow the Spirit of God to speak to you, invite the Spirit of God to open up the Word to your heart and to open your heart to the Word. See what the Spirit of God might be saying to you. In John chapter 12, beginning in verse 12 there, we've got John's account of Palm Sunday. We know the Palm Sunday well, but in John's account, clearly there's a message coming through, and the message is this: Jesus is the King. But in John's presentation especially, Jesus is not only King of the Jews, but Jesus is King of the whole world. From the lips of the Pharisees we have these words: the whole world comes out to see Jesus. And then straight afterwards we have the Greeks, not the Jews but the foreigners, the Greeks, asking if they can see Jesus, and the disciples go to Jesus and say, the Greeks are here to see you. And we're not actually sure whether Jesus met with the Greeks or not, but we do have his answer, which speaks not only to the Greeks, not only to the Jews, not only to his disciples, not only to the readers of John in the early church, not only to Christians through history, but they speak to me today, and I think they'll speak to you too. Listen to the words of Jesus. Jesus says in verse 20, he says, the Son of Man is about to be glorified. He's saying, just like you expect, you're about to see the King made the King, but it's not going to be anything like you're expecting. It's not going to look like what you expect it to look like. And then these well-known words, you know them so well. Jesus says, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it can't produce any fruit. Jesus says, if you really want to serve me, if you want to serve the King of the world, what do you need to do? You need to follow me, says Jesus. What does that mean? What does following Jesus look like? You know where he's going, don't you? He's on his way. He's going into Jerusalem. Follow me to Gethsemane, to the Garden of Tears. Follow me out of the city, up the hill of Golgotha, to a cross. Follow me as I suffer and die. If a grain of wheat, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, there's no fruit. If you want to serve me, says Jesus, you need to follow me. Come, suffer and die with me. And they're challenging words. They're challenging words, tough words, but good words. They're tough words because I don't want to die. I'm attached to myself. There are parts of me that I don't want to let go of. But Jesus says, if you want to bear fruit, you need to die. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, there is no fruit. So as I pray, Lord, make me fruitful, the Spirit of God says to me, you need to die to yourself. And Jesus says, If you want to serve me, if you want to serve the King, I want to serve the King. But Jesus says, you know what that looks like, don't you? You've got to suffer. And I don't want to suffer. I don't want to go the way of the cross. I want to hold on to my own comfort. I want to do things my way. But Jesus says, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground, if you want to follow him, if you want to serve me, you've got to follow me. They're tough words, but they're good words. They're good because Jesus says, if the grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, then it produces much fruit. And that's what I'm praying. Lord, show me how to produce fruit. And Jesus says, if you want to serve me, come follow me. But when you follow me, says Jesus, sure, it's tough, but when you follow me, you'll be where I am. And don't you want to be more with Jesus? Don't you want to find yourself in the presence of the risen Jesus day by day? Jesus says, come serve, follow me. Come to Jerusalem and suffer with me. They're tough words, but they're good words. And so this week I've been praying, and I'm going to keep praying. I'm praying, Lord, show me those parts of my life that I need to die to. Lord, show me what it means to die. Lord, take my life and do whatever you need to do, and show me what it means to follow you, wherever that might lead, and whatever that might look like. Lord, help me to die so that I might bear fruit. Are you willing to pray that prayer with me? And I'm wondering whether you'll join me this week and pray that prayer for our church family at Holdfast. Father, as your church, show us what we need to die to. Show us what we need to leave behind, what we need to let go of, so that we might bear fruit. Show us what it means to serve you, to follow you, even when we know it won't be easy, when we know it won't be comfortable, when we know it won't be safe. Father, show us how we might bear fruit. Will you pray with me this week?